Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pails, steel toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
Amit's too busy to trail your music today.
That's okay. That's okay, Amit. You can be busy all you want.
He's too busy. I'm still waiting on a score.
I'm not waiting on Sherrod. I see him. I see Sherrod. Let's get him in here for the Celly. Let's get him in here for the Celly. Is he ready?
What's up, people? What's up, people?
Hard hats.
Right out of the gate. We're setting the tone for this show, Jimmy. Right out of the gate.
Perfect. Hard hats. John,
Right
you're going to
here.
be lunch pails. Sherrod's going to be steel toe boots.
I'm over here.
I don't know where I'm pointing right now. It's all reversed. But I will say this.
Shut up, Zannis.
Celtics came to work tonight, led by the guy they all thought was going to retire and not show up to work, Al Horford. We're going to have to scrub the footage of last video, guy, last game's post-game show. I think we led with Al after game 4 or game 5. What game are we in now? After game 4. We got to lead with him certainly after game 5. After his, I would say, borderline historic performance tonight, 22, 15, 5 assists, 5 3-pointers. Did he have 5 3-pointers? I think he had 5 or something close to that. 6 3-pointers for Al Horford. I shortchanged him. Al came to work.
3 block shots.
And 3 blocks. And the Celtics move on. Hashtag 8 more. 8 more wins. How we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it wasn't a perfect game.
Is that the new promo, merch promo? Is that the new?
That is the new merch promo. 8 more. Guys, head over to the CLNS merch store. I'm wearing a shirt right now. It says phenomenal. Those are on sale. We got Garden Report t-shirts on sale. Hard hats are coming. They're not on sale yet, but they are in transit to the store. They're putting the final touches on them. We're going to have those hopefully before next year's playoffs start. And then we should be good. All right. That's all I'm going to say.
Are you sure?
What a game.
I'm sure. Are you allowed to talk, John? 14 people already told you to shut up. Are you even allowed to talk?
No, it's fine. I'm only here to deliver sponsor information, and the rest of that, we're okay. Yeah. So don't worry about me.
It's either Knicks or Pacers. We'll find out in a couple days, I guess. Could be a few days, depending on how things shake out here. But if you're the Celtics, you love that you're moving on. I don't think you love the way you played tonight. But again, this was a series, much like last series, where you could afford to have some blips, to make a few mistakes, to not play to your full potential. And hell, that might even be the case next series, depending on how things go for these Pacers and Knicks. Guys are dropping left and right here. But if you're the Celtics, you can only control what you can control. The famous Bill Belichick, formerly great coach. I don't know if people remember a guy named Bill Belichick. He used to coach the Patriots. He's out of the league now. He used to say, we don't control the schedule. We don't control the schedule. We don't care about what the other team's doing. We can only control what we can control. And if you're the Celtics, that's how you got to think about this. You're not worried about what's going on the other side. You just focused on yourself.
Well, I mean, it's been that way all season for them, really. I mean, as they were just kind of running away with the NBA and everyone else was just sucking up their fumes, they had no choice but to focus on themselves because there was no one that was in front of them to focus on. So I think for the Celtics, the way that they have approached these first couple of rounds is the way that you have to approach it. And that is you need to make sure that you're getting better as the series progresses. I didn't think that was the case in this series. I thought it was in the Miami series. I thought they definitely got better as they went through it. Because Cleveland, the one thing that jumps out to me about the Celtics is that when they are hit with unexpected benefits, like Karis LeVert not playing, they don't adapt as quickly as you'd want to the benefits that they're given. It seems like it takes them a minute to recalibrate, like, oh, okay, they lost a guy that can go and drop 20. How do we address that and continue to win? And it took them a really long time, I thought, this game to finally figure that out. Al Horford was a guy that we know this. They've been targeting Al the entire series. And then at some point, you had to believe that Al would knock down some of those open shots. And tonight was that night, and he could not have picked a better night to do that than tonight. So kudos to Al, kudos to Tatum and those guys getting Al the ball and still having confidence in him to knock down a lot of those shots that I think otherwise it would have every reason to just basically ice Al and just not even look for him. But they kept him involved, they kept him engaged, and to his credit, he came up big when they needed him most.
Jimmy, you're muted. Jimmy.
Oh damn! You didn't hear me say facts, my dog. Damn.
Oh,
we knew you said. We knew that.
We knew it was coming. We knew.
And then I said, "Are you gonna talk, or are you still upset? Are you still butthurt because 14 people told you to shut up immediately?"
One person told me to shut up, and I let you run with it.
One with the 14. Damn, John.
Felt like 14.
That homeschooling math, man. I tell you, it's something else.
I could have sworn a couple others in the chat said cosign.
When Jimmy opens up the show like that, we call that the soft opening. Welcome into the Garden Report, people. Very nice to have you here. The Garden Report, as always, is brought to you by our terrific sponsor, Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, and Game Time.
Yeah, I use Game Time today.
Game Time, the best mobile ticket marketplace app out there. Game Time got a lot of love, and it's going to get a lot of love from us coming days as the Patriots released their schedule. We had a live schedule release show earlier tonight on Patriots CLNS. If you want to see Taylor Kyles, Mike Cadlick talking it over. Jimmy and I poured over the schedule, Patriots schedule, looked at all 17 games, and Jimmy, I think, has come up with the final record, how he thinks it's going to go. Jimmy, what is that?
Yeah, I took a look at it for a while. I got 17 losses, actually.
17
losses on that.
That's what I have too.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, nobody will see any of them because none of them got made prime time, so that's good too.
They're putting all the games at like 9 a.m.
Yeah. I saw one. No lie, I saw one of the games it's a Wednesday at 2 p.m. I couldn't believe that. Like, let's get this out of the way.
It is good stuff. And while we're at it, Jimmy, hey, let him tell him what's going on.
There it is, guys. 8 more is the code for 20% off at the CLNS merch store. That's shop.clnsmedia.com. You can get your Garden Report swag. You get the phenomenal t-shirts. We got the Garden Report t-shirts. We got jackets. We got what else we got? I can't even think off the top of my head. We got some. I think we got the Maxwell book. We got some shirts. We got hard hats on the way. You can't buy them yet, but you will be. And the code again is 8 more. That's for 8 more wins. So they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got to win that 4 games, and then they got to advance and win 4 more games in the NBA Finals. So that's
the primary reason for these promo codes that we keep changing game by game is just to do the math for Jimmy.
Yeah, it's actually made it a lot easier. We might not sell a single T-shirt, but if it helps me out with the countdown, that's fine. Guys, T-shirts are actually selling. They're selling like hotcakes. I'll be honest.
Yeah. By the way, do hotcakes sell that well? Like, is that like the thing? Is that the thing in the world that sells the most? Hotcakes? I've never really understood that. Someone's gonna tell me. Yeah.
I think you got to find a good baker. A good hotcake is not sitting on the racks for long.
Maybe somewhere like Waffle House.
Word travels. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, selling like waffles. They are. Anyway, what are we gonna do?
John, you sound exhausted, my man.
I don't know, man.
This is a bad game for John. This is not what John wanted to do a show about.
This was like the Celtics the first quarter. We're here.
This is exactly what I thought this game would be. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's not exactly what you wanted. It's what you thought.
That's not what I said, Jimmy.
You didn't say anything. I just know you.
I didn't want to pay any money to send Bobby to Cleveland. I wanted them to wrap this thing up here, so that's fine.
I did too. I think I wanted it to be a little more convincing. I think that's all.
I wanted the end to be earlier. Because basically, late third, early fourth quarter, you kind of felt that this thing is a wrap.
Yeah. You know what I'm exhausted by? I'll tell you after this take, Sherrod, okay? Because I am a little exhausted. You're right, but go ahead. I'll tell you later.
No, the issue that I had more than anything else with the Celtics was it goes back to something we've talked about before, and that is playing with your food. I mean, you go back. They had a
the over under on that, by the way, tonight was 7.5 times that would be said. Playing with your food, because you knew they would do that tonight, right?
Yeah, you did. And during one of the timeouts, Joe Mazzulla was talking to them, and he basically was saying you need to close out better. You need to close out like you want to close out. And right after that, they gave up an open three, or they gave up a lightly contested. It seemed like it took them until the second half to actually start really defending Cleveland and respecting Mook Morris and respecting Sam Merrill and all those other guys that don't really play, but are only playing because they're so just battered. And that's there's a party that thinks, okay, maybe they're just playing down to the competition, and the better the next opponent, the better they'll be. But to Jimmy's point, they're going to play just a tapped out Indiana team or a tapped out Knicks team that's, physically speaking, aren't going to be nearly as fresh as the team that they'll face if they get past them out west.
Yes, exactly.
Right, here comes the take quake.
The hot cake take.
Yeah, that needs to be in a tournament. We need to get a tournament.
The hot cake take of the night. No, listen. Here's what I'm exhausted by. I'm exhausted by the next 4 days of conversation, 5 days of conversation. What we're allowed to say, what you're not supposed to say. People telling fans how they're supposed to act and feel. They're in the conference finals. You're supposed to. It's a big deal. The numbers and Jalen and Jason making them great. Awesome. You're not allowed to say that the teams that they beat were bad and injured. You're not allowed to say it. Not allowed to. Can't talk about that, okay?
Nope,
Can't say the games have been boring. Can't say the games have been easy. Dude, they're in the conference finals. Shut up. I'm exhausted by this conversation already. I'm exhausted by it. And I know it's coming. I don't want to be on either side of it. That's just what it's going to be. It's going to just
Twitter.
It's going to kill me. What did you think they were going to do other than get to the conference finals? Was there another acceptable alternative? Joe Mazzulla would have been fired like 7 minutes ago if this was 4-1 Cleveland, or if they lost this series. Jaylen Brown would have been traded in the offseason. Wick would have come in literally and just blown up the locker room. Of course they made the conference finals. We know it. That was the plan. This is now the season now officially begins. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and honestly, possibly not even game 1 of the finals until something is real. And that's it. So I'm sorry. Yes, they made it. They were supposed to make it. The back and forth is going to be exhausting over the next few days, but now it's serious. Now it's real. Now, again, you're going to face an opponent in the Knicks that's going to put up a fight. Yes. I'm not even on it. I'm just saying this is how it's going to go over the next few days.
So let me say this.
Let's just skip ahead. Okay, let's go. This is all preseason. This is all preseason action. All of it. Meaningless. Okay? All of it.
So I agree with you. I agree with you too. I pretty much agree with you in that sense, John. I know what you're saying. Where I wanted things to be different was I knew the opponents were going to be weak. That's why I wanted to see the Celtics, I think, dominate more in the game. And when you look at the series, okay, it's pretty hard to say they didn't. 4-1 and 4-1.
Subscribe for these late podcasts. Yep.
It was a pretty dominant, series win in both cases. But if you watch the series in the games, there was a number of times within those games where Celtics were just not playing dominant basketball. And I felt like even though these are quote unquote playoff teams, that Cavs roster the last couple games was not a playoff team. That Heat roster for a number of those games was not a playoff team. They're without their best players in both situations. The Cavs waved the white towel before they even showed up tonight. And credit to the players who did play for making it a game and keeping it interesting. And playing with your food is a good way to put it. The thing about that is I feel like when it comes to where they are right now, is it playing with their food or is it they just don't know how to like
right, they don't know how to eat.
They don't right. Yeah.
But is this food?
Is it playing with their food? Or are we sure that the food is there? Like in this situation, like now we're getting to the point now.
they're playing with their food, Jimmy, because how dominant they were in the regular season. I mean, it would be one thing if they just had a pretty
season.
But Jimmy, but the things that you do in the regular season in terms of execution, in terms of your style of play, that stuff is transferable. And so I'll just give you an example. If let's say the Celtics wind up playing the Knicks and they win that one in 5 games, and let's say the 4 wins by an average of like 27 points, would anyone be shocked by that? No. And the reason you wouldn't be shocked is because they have shown the ability to absolutely decimate teams when they're locked and loaded. And we just haven't seen that. And my concern,
they do it so often, Sherrod, where it's like, are they really playing with their food, or is this just who they are?
Well, this is the difference I would say this year, Jimmy, is that they in the past they've played with their food so much where they've actually lost multiple games in the process. This go around, they lost 1 game in each series. They're the first team to get to the conference finals of all the teams in the NBA. They're not quite fully educated onto how to not play with your food, but they're definitely a little bit more, I think, educated than they were a year ago on that. Like, for example, if this were last year's team, we're probably looking at a game 6 in Cleveland. And we probably would have saw 6 games in Miami. So.
I think it's an interesting question Jimmy poses. Like, is it playing with your food? I don't know. You know, like, I don't know.
Okay, he's leaving. He'll be back, I guess.
To address it, I don't know if it's playing with their food either. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know what else to call it.
Right.
They clearly know. I mean, you know, I tweeted it semi-seriously, semi-jokingly. It literally took 3 minutes of serious basketball to put this game away in the 4th quarter. They're like, all right, let's ratchet up the D, get some stops, move the ball a little bit on offense instead of just everybody standing around, and bang, 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 14-point game, and it was over. That was it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that ball movement that you talked about, John, don't just allow the ball movement to be on the perimeter. You know, you might actually have guys who are like literally under the rim for layups. They had at least 3 of those in the 4th quarter. And those are plays that I think over the course of a game, those plays are going to be there if you're seriously trying to hunt those down. And it just seemed that, you know, Tatum had a couple where he literally, you know, just got in a tight spot in the corner, and rather than swinging up top to Jalen, he felt like Drew Holiday for a freaking layup, or Al Horford for a layup. Those are the plays that they have to get better. They have to take advantage of those moments more than they did in this series.
Yeah, it's just, it all comes down to, I mean, it's so funny. Like, the whole thing is hilarious. If the Celtics were playing elite level, high level basketball right now, eviscerating teams, you'd be talking about how they're playing elite level basketball and just tearing teams apart. Who's stopping this team? If in the first 2 rounds they played incredibly competitive series against incredibly talented teams, you know, that are high level with all of their stars and all of their players, and they're winning these tight games, you'd be like, wow, these 2 rounds have really battle tested them for the later rounds. So if the complete opposite happens, are you not allowed to talk about it? That's kind of what I mean, is like, they just futzed around a little bit and got there because they knew they could. It was obvious and automatic that that's what was happening. So you talk about what's happening. If they were playing awesome, you'd be like, this team is a freaking machine right now. If they look like they're just kind of, I don't know, let's start and stop, and, you know, then there's concern, like, are you just going to flip the switch when you're playing a better team in the conference finals because now you're in the conference finals? That's what everybody, all season long, it's like, what are they going to do in the playoffs? They're going to take it seriously or not? I don't know. Maybe. Probably still good enough to beat the Knicks, maybe even without Porzingis. So again, I don't know. You're going to get to the finals before you're like, what are they going to do? I'm still not sure. You know, I'm not certain based on anything I've seen, regular season or playoffs. It's still kind of a mystery. What are they going to do when they get into, I guess, probably the only difficult, meaningful series they'll have, which is going to be most likely in the finals? I don't know.
Right. But you know what? We kind of saw this coming during the regular season when you start looking at the top 4, top 5 teams in the league, and the majority of them were out west. I mean, if you really seriously look at the top 5 teams, Boston is probably the only team in the East that has a solidified position among that group. So they were going to have to address that whole, you haven't really played anyone, and yet you're here in the finals. Finally, you're going to be tested. They were going to have to deal with that regardless. But to your point, John, they haven't been as dominant as you would expect the team who had the kind of regular season they are. And that's to me, that's the issue.
Because that was it. They dominated in the regular season.
Right.
What I missed.
Their winning margins are large because, again, these teams are beat to shit. They're completely dismantled. I mean, how much more can Cleveland invented a guy tonight to have him not dress? Like, who the hell is Porter? He's not a real person. Even he was inactive. Like, it's like the whole. You can't possibly. Did they even have 5?
Damn. No respect.
He called us slow earlier.
That's the nicest thing, actually, that I get called is idiot. Joke's on you, bud. That's a good day for me.
That's a good day.
Oh, my God. What did I miss, John? I got a text saying you're in full boomer.
I'm not. I'm just saying we can only
Jimmy,
the same way the Celtics, Jimmy, can only play the games in front of them, the games on their schedule. We can only talk about what we're seeing right now, which is the Celtics playing mid basketball against shit teams, which doesn't answer a lot of questions or get you to really understand what they're going to be able to do. Well, the thing with them is there's actually moments of high level stuff that you see, like, oh, geez, look at that. And oh my God, are they dialed in right now? And you see it. And then you see just moments of like, oh, everyone can shoot threes, go ahead. It's just bizarre. You're not going to play a perfect, clean game. But as to Sherrod's point, they should have stomped the lights out of these. I mean, every game here. So I don't know. It's,
you know what?
It's inconsistent.
We hold them and we have high expectations for this team because we have paid attention all year. We have watched every single regular season game. We know what they're capable of. I think the part of it that's causes us a little trepidation.
They've earned the right to have high
good word, idiot.
Expectations.
Big word there, a little trepidation.
Big word, dummy.
Yeah. Don't ask me to spell it. Is
Jimmy
the fact that
trepidation.
this is the playoffs. And you know what? When we see them get to this point, we've seen things take a turn for the worse at times. Not always, but at times. And so it's fair to wonder if deep down some of those issues are still there. They just haven't been exposed enough because the opposing team hasn't had enough talent to really make them pay for it. At some point, the thinking is that will change. You don't want to be caught with your pants down when it happens. You want to be playing solid basketball, good team basketball. That's kind of what it comes down to. I don't want to dump on the Celtics all night. They advanced the Eastern Conference Finals. There were some good things we saw tonight. Again, it's good to see Al Horford have that bounce back performance after, the chat wanted him to stay on the plane or to not get on the plane and stay in Cleveland. So he comes out and says, F you to the world and turns back the clock tonight. That's the type of performance that reminds you of what playoff basketball is all about. That performance doesn't happen in a regular season game, Sherrod. That's the difference. Guys stepping up in a time where they need to. The last couple of games, it was Tatum and Brown. Tonight, those guys, not really to that extent. You can go back to criticizing Tatum in certain situations, but he ended up close to a triple-double again. So, again, like the performance down the stretch from Tatum hitting that big three. So there was bits and pieces of the night where you can extrapolate, another big word, no big deal, and you can look at the positives of it. But in the same sense, you can look at the negatives. John's choosing to look at the negatives first. That doesn't mean he's not going to get to some positives at some point. They're there, but it's fair to say, hey,
we talked about
we have higher expectations. Yeah, we have higher expectations for this team. And if they play like this over a series against an opponent that is fully healthy and is in the NBA Finals, they can't expect to see the same results. They can't expect to see double digit wins. They can't expect to see a 4-1 series win because at that point, it's no joking around at that point. You're playing a team out west who has gone through the gauntlet to get to where they've gotten, unlike the Celtics.
Yeah, but
I agree. And Jimmy,
you want to see them play their best. I was just going to say, you want to see the best version of who they are, and we haven't seen that. And I think that's the thing where fans are a little bit like, yeah, we're excited they're in the conference finals, but whoa, we still haven't seen the best they have to offer. And the challenge that we all have is it a matter of the competition hasn't been that great, or is it because maybe they're just not as great a team as we think they are? I still have them winning an NBA Finals championship this year. I still think that's possible, even with all the questionable things that they've done. But they need to start really building off the momentum that we saw in this game and just being more consistent with their elite play and not just this meh stuff that we see way too much of.
You know what I think?
Again, Yes, I want to know what you think.
Real quick, because I think I'm a little delayed and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think that they are playing to the opponent. Meaning, if they're going to play a banged up Cavs team, the level of play is going to match that to an extent. Not completely. They are still more talented, and that more than often is going to catapult them in the end. Same with the Heat. But if they end up playing a fully healthy Nuggets team or a healthy, OKC or whoever, Mavs, whoever it ends up being, I guess I'm cautiously optimistic that they will match that level at that point. Like they need to see like a difficult opponent in order to ratchet it up a little bit. And I'm not saying it's right, but I feel like that's been kind of the MO with these guys on a number of occasions, is that they'll either play down to the opponent or they'll play up to the opponent. We see some great matchups. I remember the regular season matchups against the Timberwolves this year were great. We've seen some down performances against teams that have no business competing with the Celtics. So in the playoffs, typically you don't have that issue. Typically it's the cream of the crop, the best of the best. Everyone's, ratcheting up the intensity, but for whatever reason, it's to no fault of the Celtics. To be honest, credit to them. They put themselves in the position. They were the 1 seed. They played a banged up 8 seed. They dominated them. Then they played a banged up 4 seed. Had they not cruised through the regular season the way they did, maybe they don't have that luck. Maybe they are stuck playing, a Knicks or a Pacers team right now, and things are different. So you got to give them credit for that. But at the same time, I want to see them set the tone. I want to see teams trying to match their intensity, not the other way around.
Fair enough. And that's kind of the point, is like aggressive is better than passive all the time. The games you're losing was the ones where you're just allowing things to happen,
Right.
and just playing slow and letting the other team dictate pace, tempo, and what shots you're taking, and you're choosing what shots you're defending and playing percentages. And those don't necessarily, that's not going to work. You're going to face a team most likely in New York that brings it every single night and does something that's going to keep you on your toes, which is absolutely is just murderous on the glass. And they're going to be coming at you. And they've got an alpha who's going to be really difficult to stop. So and a team also that literally won't ever die. So it's hard to believe that even if, that you're going to be able to shake them without a complete effort. Like they're going to be there. And that's, again, something the Celtics haven't really seen yet. So it's a Tibbs team. It's Tibbs team. So we'll see. But again, I mean, Pacers, I guess, are still there. We're not on it yet. And, for those people who don't like the tone of the way this started, again, from the beginning of the season, we talked about the same exact thing. There's literally nothing but a championship that's acceptable here. I guess if you want to say a trip to the finals, because everyone thinks Denver's this big bogeyman that they can't beat anymore after realizing that Jokic is indeed amazing. Like after watching a couple of games, yeah, Denver's great. Can the Celtics' best game beat Denver? Yes, it can.
Of course it can.
Is it a failure? No. I mean, if they go to the finals, get absolutely smoked and outclassed, you'll be like, whoa, geez, they're further than you thought. But a finals trip is absolutely what was expected with this team. So again, every judgment you make on this team isn't how did you play against the Cavs today, is would this shit fly against Denver? That's all we've been talking about for like 50 games now. That's what the season is. That's really all that matters. Right. Yeah. So that's it. That's the whole thing. And if anybody doesn't like it, I'll spend the rest of this time talking about how Jason told Jalen to go F himself. And then Jalen got sad the rest of the game and that they hate each other. And I'll spend the entire show on that. I will turn this car around. So don't do that. Okay. No, Anyway, we lost Sherrod for a little bit, but we do have Joe Mazzulla. You want to talk a little ball? We'll talk a little bit about the game itself. And yes, an Al Horford turn back the clock game. This was incredible, right? Because Jimmy, the beginning of the game, it looked like they were like, oh, geez, strategy here is just to let Al take as many of those threes as he wants. And he wasn't hitting them. And it was like, is it going to be one of those games where the other team wills the ball into the people's hands, takes it out of the guys that you want? And Al was just missing. And then all of a sudden he hit a couple. And the next thing you know, he's 5 for 11.
Yep.
And then everything plus 26 in 34 minutes, a legit turn back the clock effort from Al after he's been getting cooked, not just by, opposing offensive players, but on the chat, Twitter, old man, he's dying, put him out to pasture. I think you all owe Al an apology. I think you do.
Yeah.
And Joe Mazzulla.
As soon as the chat started going at him, that's when he said, I've had enough. The
Sims,
YouTube
had
chat,
it.
the YouTube gremlins are coming for me.
Had it with you guys, you negative jerks.
Yeah.
And here's Joe Mazzulla defending Al because you guys were mean to him.
Producer boy. Producer boy.
We talked all year. Just everybody's a leader on a team in a different way. And Al leads instrumentally, not much of a talker. Tonight you saw, his gift. His gift is just passion, inspiration, toughness, competitive nature. And, obviously those games are tough, right? The other team is fighting for their lives, and you're trying to play as hard as you can. And you don't want to make mistakes and whatever the case may be. But that's who Al is as a person. You saw his personality. So I thought he was tremendous. I thought he started it for us, and all the guys responded well. So grateful for Al. And really just the credit, they left him open all series, and he had a tough shooting a couple games. And for a guy like him, he just needs to keep shooting. And just the way he affected the game in different ways was awesome. So honored to coach him.
Honor.
Hey, Sherrod, give Al his flowers.
It's good, Al.
It's good, Al.
Great.
Al was good. Al was so damn good. This was All-Star Al, which we're not going to see very often going forward. But it's nice that he showed up when they absolutely needed someone to step up, because they were playing pretty average basketball for the most part until Al really got it going. And he got it going at both ends of the floor with his rebounding, but also his defense. He was a much tougher player to break down, and that was those ISOs that Cleveland really wanted to go at him with. And Al just had an overall impressive game. And the 6 made threes, they absolutely needed that, because they're literally saying, go ahead and shoot the open three, Al. Go ahead. And so to his credit, he knocked down a high percentage of those, just like he did in the regular season, and now they're on to the next round. It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks or the Pacers do defensively on Al, because if it's the Pacers, they've got a guy that can space the floor, and Turner. The Knicks, not so much. So it'll be interesting to see next series.
Yes.
Listen, this is, again, it's similar to the combos that we have about like Derek White. It's great. And obviously Derek White is more, I'm not comparing the two apples to apples, but it's a similar situation where it's not something that you're relying on game to game or expecting game to game from Al Horford to have this type of a night, right? But the way people were so down on this guy after game 5 or game 4.
Negativity,
yeah.
man.
Not you, of course, but everybody else. The negativity in this town stinks, and it sucks, and it stinks. And
okay, Patino.
Al's a pro's pro, Sherrod. You know that more than anybody, right? I mean, you knew he was going to come out there.
Yeah.
He has a lot of pride. And he's not done. Okay, I mean, he's the oldest guy left in these playoffs. Sure as hell didn't look like it tonight. People are coming. People are, thinking that he's gonna take the hat off and hang him up. Absolutely not. He's going to work. So, I would hope it's a bit inspiring for some of the guys to see on this team, to see Al play as hard as he played tonight. 15 rebounds is nothing to shrug your shoulders at.
Right.
I mean, and this is against the Cavs team that the guys in that game were not coasting. They're playing as hard as they can. This is a big game for some of those players, because this is on the main stage. They're getting a lot of playing time they typically don't get, and they want to prove that they all got things to prove, right? Everyone's got something to prove, and so Al was going hard in there, and just his contributions and again his ability to step up in that moment is huge for them. Again, on a night where they weren't necessarily getting it from the typical guys.
Yeah. The majority of this chat here was saying flat out that Luke was out playing Al the other day, and he might have for a stint.
They were calling for the X-Man. Calling for the X-Man.
Yeah.
So
not happening.
Look, I mean, in the perfect world, Al's feeling spunky and spry like he was tonight, and he was moving well. The other day, he looked a little tired. I do think, and again, that's coming off the 39-minute game, and that happened, right? And so that wasn't stunning. That he'd look a little bit gassed off of that, and he definitely had more spring. But this is what you're looking for from him, is like, if he's in that corner and the ball swings to him, he's got to be able to knock down 40% of those shots. And if and when that he does, the floor spacing you're able to get, if you're moving the ball around and getting those looks, is really, really, really just difficult to defend. And that's another thing that he does that's super important when he's out there, in addition to being switchable and defending other positions in X, Y, and Z. And, he didn't get abused tonight. Nobody's catching him off of any. I mean, not having Mitchell in the game there is a lot better, because you're not worried about switching on to him as much. And, so it's a game that was more suited to his, again, there just weren't a lot of threats on the Cleveland offensive side here. You had Morris basically just flipping up everything towards the basket and knocking it down. Short of that, and Mobley, Mobley doing what he's doing inside. And Mobley was good, man. I mean, hats off to him.
Yeah.
He got, I mean, honestly, respect for Cleveland in general.
Mm-hmm.
This team was cooked, man. As soon as Mitchell went out, this was over, obviously. And it was tough to begin with, but I mean, you're playing without, Mitchell and Allen. They hung in there. I think, give all of them, a little bit of credit, I think, for making it even remotely competitive for a period of time in this game. Cause this was a mismatch. But we're going to hear from Bobby. We're going to hear from Josue in a little bit. We'll get some more sound coming out of the Garden. In the meantime, we do want to tell you about our sponsor here at the Garden Report, Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. More than 3 million members. Easiest, most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. Pick more or less. 2 or more player stats. That's it. Watch the winnings roll in up to 100 times your money if you're fancy like that. With as few as 4 correct picks, you can play along celebrities and community games. Prize Picks gives you personal insurance if somebody gets hurt, so you don't have to worry about that.
Play the video.
So, do I have to?
Yeah, because I want to see something. I want to point.
Want to see something? Okay, here we go.
Boy.
Everybody pay very close attention.
Somber video, Jimmy. Okay. But what do you need to do? It's pretty easy. All you have to do is download that app today. Use the code CLNS.
Right, who's this guy? Who's the guy next to her?
Jimmy, this is the most important. This is the part of the read that says read verbatim, call to action. And when I don't, they take the money back.
All right, let's start over. And action.
Call to action must be read verbatim. Here I go. Download the app today and use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Repeat offer and promo code. It says now, Jimmy, can I do that?
You have the floor.
Download the app today. Use the code CLNS for a first deposit match. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
No, that's it. You nailed it. You did such a good job.
Thank you.
I just wanted people to answer. I had a simple question.
I know.
I didn't realize it was in the cleanup spot of your read there.
Call to action. Read verbatim. Jimmy, I got a story. Let me tell you, I got stories.
The good news is we can do the read again later on in the show, and we never have to clip that and send it to him.
Oh, man.
Oh, Jimmy.
A little more, a little less.
Here's the one thing as we kind of wrap up the whole Al conversation. I think we sometimes lose sight of the fact that Al was playing every other day in this series. This is a guy that's been on load management all season long. So you had to figure that he'd have a stretch at some point where he just wasn't very good. And we saw that. But to his credit, again, he bounced back when he needed to, and they needed him to in Game 5, and now they're on to the conference finals again. So,
Al
wants a ring.
And as he should. He's the oldest dude still left in the damn playoffs. I would hope that the oldest dude would want it and would show up when they needed it.
He knows what's at stake.
He does.
He's not trying to play. He wasn't trying to play Friday. He wanted a couple. These guys are going to get a nice little break here. At minimum, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they play Sunday. At minimum, that's 4.
Yeah.
It could even be longer if that Knicks Pacers series goes a little bit longer. So,
which I think it will.
You think it's going 7?
Yep, I do.
We could use a break. I could use a break from you guys. You guys could use a break from me. That's cool. Not you guys. You guys.
I have Sunday plans. I'm going to be pissed if I have to change them all around.
Me too. I'm not going. That's it. Is it really Game 1 is Sunday? Oh, gross. I'm not doing it.
It will be if the Pacers don't win on Friday. We have Game 1 on Sunday.
I'm not doing it. That's it.
And it's like 3:30. It's like right
tell
there.
Tell the league.
Yeah.
Tell the league.
We're all Halliburton fans on Friday night, boys. We're all Halliburton fans on Friday night.
We are.
Who do you guys actually want to win that series? Pacers or Knicks?
I want that. I want the Boston New York thing. I don't care about who's the better matchup. I just want Boston and New York. It's fun. I want to go to MSG. That's fun. It's just a great place to play ball. The atmosphere in the two places. How can you not?
Can I go?
No, sorry. Not that the Pacers are. Sorry, not that the Pacers.
Fine. You know what? Then I want the Pacers. I want
Indiana
you to go to
loves
Indy.
their ball too. Yeah.
I want to send you to Indy.
Yeah.
No, I want.
I mean,
I think everybody wants Knicks.
Yeah, it'd be great that they'd actually be playing for something of value this time of year, because usually this time of year it's the Celtics and whoever, while the Knicks are planning for the lottery or the Knicks are planning for next season and how they're going to screw up and sign some guy to $1 billion contract who sucks. Not the case this year. The Knicks have a good team. They playing hard, and Tibbs has got those guys playing at a really high level. But the concern that I have, and most people have about them, is what are they going to have left in the tank if they get past Indiana? Because they're not going to get any of these guys back. Maybe OG might come back. Maybe.
OG's. I mean, again, who knows how much of this is just BS? But OG, according to reports, is in line for like possible Game 6 appearance. So like he's threatening to play here. I would imagine you see him in the series, even if he's not ready in the next couple of days. At least by the time you get back to New York. But who knows? It's trending in that direction. So I think OG plays. I think that is enough to keep it competitive. If you're down both Randall, who's been out, and OG, another banged up.
Mitchell Robinson's out. I mean, they're losing Robinson. Guys. Yeah.
I know it's been that way. I mean, all year long they were really, I think you'd feel. I think
who we're all gonna hate. We're all gonna hate.
I think we'd feel different about this team if the Knicks had a healthy team all season long. I don't think they're going to get within, shouting distance of the Celtics for first, but they might have separated from the rest of the pack and been a clearer 2 seed than they are. They kind of backed into it because Milwaukee was, not taking things seriously later, just playing like ass, whatever it was, to end up the 2. But they could have been a clear 2 and like a team you might look at like, ooh, these guys are real, like real, not just like spunky and like tough and playing hard. Like, oh, these guys are really good. And I think they are good. But again, it's how healthy are they going to be, and how much is left? I've
been watching a lot more Knicks recently. Just I got a Knicks buddy, and they are sneaky good. It's too bad. I mean, it's good for the Celtics, obviously, but it's too bad that this Knicks team isn't healthy, because it would be a very competitive series, and it still might be competitive because they play hard. But losing Randall, Mitchell Robinson's down. Obviously, OG. We'll see what happens with him. But they've got some good role players. DiVincenzo has been nasty for them. He's a great 3-point shooter. Hartenstein's a big guy for them. And you know who we're all Celtics fans are going to hate by the end of the series?
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. Going to absolutely hate Josh Hart. It's going to make it fun, but they're going to hate Josh Hart. And obviously, Brunson speaks for himself. Guy's had an unbelievable season, and I don't think anybody thought he was going to be this good. Obviously, certainly in Dallas, they didn't know that. But he just plays with his heart on his sleeve. He's perfect for that, for what that city, would rally around. They just need health. And so I don't know if they're going to get it in time, but Boston, New York's a great rivalry. It really is. Need the Bruins to hold up their end of it too, and win a couple more here. So maybe we can get Bruins Rangers on the other side. That would be elite, electricity.
So good.
Then I'm going to New York. I'll figure it out if that happens.
You figure it out?
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
I'm just gonna stay there. I like New York. I'm just
gonna
live
have
there.
Friends in New York. They all moved.
Yeah,
I got a couple. I got a Hoboken friend to do that.
I'm just gonna live there for the week and just go to the road games and let you guys do whatever here. I think that'll be great. Let's bring in. Who would you like to hear from? I would like to hear from this guy. Bobby Manning has entered the chat. What's up, Bobby?
Mr.
Vanessa's Manning.
Oh, that reminds me. We got to figure out what happened in that basketball game, Bobby. There's a lot of chat.
But Bobby, what do you got for us?
Bobby is not Paying attention. And hot start. Hot start, Bobby.
He'll get back. Bobby, when you're ready, give us the somber thumbs up, and we'll get you in here.
Yeah. Everything is somber. Bobby's be like, yeah, I just got out of the Cavs locker room, and
they're really despondent.
Yeah.
Bobby, take your time. When you're ready, just signal.
I don't think he can hear us.
He couldn't hear us. Yeah, he'll get in a minute. He'll get in. He wasn't somber. He was
had the Florida jersey on, and
he was focused.
Yeah.
He was focused.
Bobby, blink twice. Not a single blink. Okay, he's not ready. Anyways, what else?
I was just gonna let Bobby talk for the next 25 minutes. I'm done.
Oh, that would have been perfect. I need that.
I'm just asking this. I keep seeing this being said, like a lot. Like, oh, here he is. All right, I'll get to my thing in a minute. What's up, Bobby?
He's muted.
Go ahead. What do you got?
No, we haven't done a ton on the game. So, again, you were there. I mean, we haven't really talked about basketball much. So we figured we'd hear about the game.
You've been stalling for 45 minutes until you got here.
So you're up, Bobby. You're up. Let's go.
It's a basketball thing.
Yeah, a similar game to what we saw the last few in Cleveland. Pretty much the whole series here. I do think the one thing that the Celtics did pretty effectively tonight, and I know you guys have probably talked at length about all the Horford stuff at this point, but the 3-point volume shifted in this game in a way that finally allowed the Celtics to score a bit of a blowout, not a huge blowout, but a runaway win that was, over in the last couple minutes here. What was it, 43-31 in terms of volume here? The Cavs came into this game, I think, with 7 more attempts in the series from 3. So they had been winning the 3-point volume battle that the Celtics hold so important to this point. Celtics finally flipped that tonight, and they didn't just launch them up. I thought they generated some great looks, and Tatum was a big part of that. This was a really good Tatum passing game. It
was a very good Tatum passing game. The first 6 assists, I think the first 6 or 7 assists, or 6 of the first 7 ended up in wide open threes.
Yeah, and it helped that almost all of them were to Al, who was wide open, because the Cavs just decided to ignore him and live and die by that, and they pretty much went down with that game plan. So good on him for finding it, making that pass consistently. Al started 1 of 4 in this game, and this is another opportunity to potentially get away from him, maybe see him lose faith in his shot. The 4th one was ugly, a little rushed in the corner, but they kept going to him, and it was great to see. It clearly energized the team. He set a tone defensively, despite shooting poorly early, and I think that got the team going. I thought the moment of this game was when he got that 3rd block on Garland at the rim, and that, the Cavs did an inbounds underneath the basket and try to lob it up over him, and he tipped it right back to Brown, and Tatum got that dunk in transition there. So that was the moment the Celtics really started playing with some energy defensively, making plays on that end, playing with some forcefulness. The Cavs only had 2 turnovers in the first quarter, and then the Celtics started to get a little more aggressive in their own end, forced some turnovers. They forced a travel inside on Wade. White blocked Strus to end the second quarter there. And that's when you really started to see the Celtics generate some great rhythm in this game and extend the lead and, overcome what was a shaky first half. So Cavs didn't go away. They never really went away in this series. I thought they played another really good game tonight. Mobley was fantastic. Strus came out hot early. You had Garland doing what he could, and they put up some real resistance there. So as much as this series ended up ending similar to the Heat series, I do feel like you faced a little bit more resistance in this series from that side. Not too much more, and we'll see what ends up happening in the East Finals here. But this was a good game. This was a great closeout game. Huge to get Horford going, because I think they're going to need him at the start of the next series again here. I don't know when we're going to see Porzingis. And as much as everyone wants to see Tillman, and Cornette was good last game, Cornette kind of faltered tonight, and it's all on Horford again, and he did everything they needed.
Yeah, the Tillman stuff is ridiculous at this point, because if you haven't seen him yet, you're certainly not going to see him the deeper.
Right.
Well, one, you probably don't want to, and two, they're not going to unwrap this guy and bring him out there later in more critical games against tougher opponents. So if there was ever a series, it was here, and they didn't. And that's that. I left that up on purpose because I wanted to acknowledge it from Robin. We can't do much with a comment, but we're going to tip the hat for the 20. Thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate it, Bobby. We did have a comment who wanted to know how the morale was in the Cavs locker room tonight. Are they okay?
No, actually,
was it somber?
I caught up with Tito Horford for a little bit, which was pretty cool. Obviously, he was here tonight, and of course, proud and not saying too much to him over the last couple of games here. That was kind of what I got into with Joe too a little bit. Like it was becoming a struggle for Al, and we talked about the every other day nature of this series and how that could impact him. I think he shot 44% during the year with 1 day rest from the field compared to over 50 with extra rest. So that struggle could have continued. And I will give Joe some credit. Instead of running Horford into the ground another night in that game 4, he scaled it back from like 40 to 29, and they let Kornet go to the extra 20 in the last game. And that clearly made an impact here. There's just so much more energy and legs under Horford in this game. I guess there's no better way to describe it than that. He just moved better, obviously able to set his shot better. And I'm amazed it turned around to this degree. But, Joe deserves a little credit for that, for leaning back on his minutes there a little bit. And they still went to some switching with him. And I thought it worked well in this game. It hadn't been a good look for the Celtics defensively when he was getting Garland and some of those other guys isolated onto him. But he held up in this game. Those 3 blocks on Garland in the first half were big plays.
Yeah. Throwing this super chat up here because Bobby, I think, just addressed it.
Thanks, Robin. Again.
Thank you very much, Robin. I don't think you had a choice for that very reason. Is the best Al is a well-utilized Al playing in and around the type of minutes that you would expect from Al. And this is a guy you kind of want to keep him down. He was up to 35 tonight. I just don't think if Pritchard is out, that you can keep running Al out there. I kind of wish I would have liked to see him closer to 30. But you can't at this point. You have to. And if you're not going to trust Tillman, and Joe's not going to do something he hasn't done all year, which is play Tatum at the 5, which I think he could have gotten away with again in this series for at least 5, 6, 7 minutes a game, just to break things up so you don't have to beat Al into the ground. He wasn't willing to go there. He decided to go with Kornet minutes, and that's it. That's what choice do you have? So he's got to play those minutes at this point. He's in that rotation firmly for that amount of time with Porzingis out, and that's what it's going to have to be.
And this is his job. Yeah, he's got to hold up with Porzingis out.
He's got it.
But also, he was effective.
It's just waves crashing against the. You just gotta hang in there, right, against the seat. And do your best. Like, it's not always going to be, the point isn't for them to be good. The point is just to hang on. Some will be good, some won't be great, but you really don't have an alternative at this point with Porzingis out. So you got to live with it. I think the rhetoric is boring, honestly. Every good Luke game, whoa, look what he did. And every bad one, you got to get him out. You're stuck with him at this point. He's your second center.
It's not you're stuck with him. He's been good in this series.
Careful.
Second round of the playoffs.
So close. You were so close to saying a word that was better than good.
Do I have to say it again? He's your third center, and he gave you 20 minutes in a playoff game. So you want him to come out again here tonight and just be amazing?
I didn't say that. I said I can live with not great Kornet minutes because you don't have an option at this point. He's been thrust. Every time someone goes up a role, a bench person to starter, a third center to second center, they're playing out of their depth a little bit. So the expectation level changes. As a third center, it's terrific. As your backup center, that's dubious. It's challenging. So you got to be careful there. And sometimes those minutes, that's why we saw fairly quick hooks. And the game where Al played 39 minutes, they weren't satisfied with a thing Kornet did. And the second Joe didn't like it. He's like, nope, up, back in.
Yeah. He gave you a good first half tonight with the 3 makes. And then the second half, it faded and you got away from him. And they went away from him fast, right? I think that's a good move when you start to see the struggle setting in. And Mobley, man, I didn't see it in him in this series, but he went at them. And Joe did talk about after the game how they were actually happy to see the Cavs shift toward isolating with him, because even though he goes for 30-something in this game, 33, that got them away from the three-point shots, and it ends up just being a 2-point game. I know I mentioned Holiday's comments about how they wanted the Cavs to live in the paint in this series, and that's a strategy that I think started to pay off into this game. You know, obviously you don't want Moby killing you down there, but you'd rather have him tossing up those hooks than Strus and Wade and some of these guys getting great looks from three.
Throwing this comment up there. What did you guys think of this moment here? Because I know. Yeah.
John, did you create an account named Jamaican Boy just so you could ask this question? So you could.
And I contributed $10 to give to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna let Bobby. I'm gonna let Bobby or you guys talk on this one first.
I don't even know what to say.
I don't think it's directed at Jalen. I think it was just he was mad as hell at the ref and didn't want any. I think the first person to touch him, he would have said that personally. But it's more fun to say that he hates Jalen. So would you guys agree that Tatum hates Jalen?
Yeah. Sherrod?
I'm just kidding. Bobby, what do you make of it? I didn't make that much. I didn't make much of it.
Like, why? You just hit a three. It's a big play, and you give up a point the other way in what was still a relatively close game. The wave-off's automatic. And I know we can have the whole discussion again about how Malone's storming off the bench, red face, screaming at the ref and doesn't get a tech. And Tatum just does one motion and gets it. And it's not fair across the league. I get it. But you can't do it. You can't do it in these big spots. And does he feel like he gained something from it? Fair enough. But it's
an emotional.
He's done a much better job this year with it. So you give him that. But it's always frustrating.
It annoys the hell out of me. It annoys the hell out of me because you see so many players do that same motion in games and nothing is called. And that's my issue. I don't got the fact Tatum, he should not do it. We get that. But if you're going to make that part of you're not going to do that in this league, players, be consistent with that shit. Doesn't mean you call it every single time, but damn, you're seeing so many more demonstrative actions that are clearly players and coaches pissed at the officials. And Tatum does that. And when you look at the grand scheme of like things that you can do towards refs, that's ridiculously mild. He's not even looking at the dude when he does that.
Yeah.
So you don't like the call.
Look, it's letter of the law. Any gesture towards the ref is supposed to be it. I mean, look, here's the thing is, do people get away with it? Do people get away with it? Sure. Absolutely. Like, does Tatum sometimes not have that leeway because he complains a lot? Of course, definitely. It's a letter of the law, Tech. It is what it is. But what transpired after, he could have gotten 4 more techs for continuing on the way that he did, and he kept gesturing, and so, yeah, it's annoying as hell. Like, you can let that stuff go, but that's that wave off gesture has been called all year, all over the place. And I know there's instances where it isn't, but you're teeing it up for yourself there, and then after that, you just got to. He knows what he's doing. Again,
Tatum, it's a closeout game, John. You think he's doing that if it wasn't a closeout game? It's because it's like, oh, you want to test me today? You know you're not supposed to be doing this, right?
No
you know
doubt
what I mean?
about it.
It's that type of thing that I think really drove Tatum crazy. But I'm with you though. Tatum following the referee, that's never a good look. It's never a good look.
It's the rest of it. At that point,
can you imagine? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah, you put yourself at risk of that.
He would have been bashed to the high heavens if he got tossed for something like that. Oh, it would have been really, really ugly. You shouldn't play with fire like that. Really shouldn't. You can be upset that he got teed up for it, but he's gotten teed up for that so many times already. And right or wrong, whether or not you think it's fair or not, it's just the way it's going to be for him. The refs have it out for him. We know that that's a fact. We know Stan Van Gundy has it out for him too, and he probably hears that from the leagues in some capacity. So, Tatum created this mess for himself, so he's going to be on a tight leash when things like that happen. The stuff with Jalen means nothing. In fact, I know that Ahmed, I think he tweeted or he got some good video of Jaylen Brown getting Tatum back with the.
He got him back, yeah.
Sort of the hit in the chest after Tatum had a.
You guys see the mic'd up
in fourth quarter
from last game or 2 games ago, whenever it was, and getting in his ear saying, "Oh, you're big deuce, let's go."
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, and I like what Tatum said after the game.
Put it in the chat. Yeah.
Well, about that comment, he said, "Look, we have stuff like that going on all the time. Like you guys don't see it, and we happen to be mic'd up at that moment, but as people wonder if that type of thing happens often, come to Jason Tatum, it does. So that's pretty cool to see it on camera, and obviously they were mic'd up so the whole world could see.
Yeah, narrator, it doesn't, but that's fine. That's fine. Real quick, we're going to get a little bit more. We got the whole band together. We're going to hear from Al Horford in a little bit. Jason Tatum is going to slowly make his way to the podium at one point or another. And we will continue on the show, but we do need to tell you a little bit about Game Time. Big night for Game Time. We did a scheduled release show, Patriots related, because you got to get your tickets. No primetime games, so you guys get nice afternoons in Foxborough all season long. Jimmy, what's the record?
Yeah, so I am at 17 losses. Just
17 losses.
Yeah. 0-17, yeah.
17
and that's
losses.
after really looking it over.
There it is. Yeah. What's our record, Larry? 8-16. 8-16.
I'm looking at Game Time right now. Patriots tickets out already. 140 for the first home game.
Yeah. So there you go. Check out Game Time again.
Just light it on fire.
Just chill. Yes, we know. We'll get them there. We're gonna get them there. We'll get them there.
I used Game Time.
It's an ad,
for
Jimmy.
Bruins.
It's an ad.
I got Bruins Friday night. I used the Game Time app, and I used our promo code, so saved $20.
Great. That's a really good deal. As we said, authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, but you can get tickets to everything, your favorite concerts, NHL, whatever's going on here. So again, one of the great things about it, prices go down, closer it gets to tip-off, face-off, what have you, killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, panoramic views, really great stuff, flash deals coming in late, so you got to keep an eye out for that, in-app deals. You can select seats ahead of time for your events. So again, take all the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create that account, use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase, as Jimmy said. $20 off your first purchase when you use the code CLNS. Terms do apply. Again, create that account. Redeem code is CLNS. Download Game Time today. $20 off, as we said. Download it today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And hold on. We got to tell you a little bit about PXG as well. Wearing it. PXG. Golf apparel. It's golf clubs, but it's also they're bringing that same passion to apparel. Premium materials, technology designed for peak performance. Confidence-inspiring looks. Play all day, take you from the course to the club, to the restaurant, wear them out, doesn't matter. Pants, polos, sweaters, hats, quarter zips, joggers, everything you have. Like I said, I've got two of them. This one I purchased with my own money using the code. If you head over to pxg.com/Garden Report, use Garden Report as the code at checkout, save 10% on all apparel. pxg.com/Garden Report. Code Garden Report. Save 10% on pxg.com/Garden Report. It's all you have to do. Elevate your style and game on and off the course with PXG's spring and summer collection. Jimmy, I'll give you one more shot. Tell them all about it.
Yeah, you want to go to the CLNS merch store, guys. There it is. Shop.clnsmedia.com. Use the code 8MORE for 20% off your purchase. Bobby apparently isn't a fan. I don't know why. Half these shirts are about things he said, like this one. Phenomenal. I've got it on right now. Very comfortable. Fits nicely, as you can see. And guys, now's the time to get the orders in. We got a few days off before the next round. We got multiple T-shirts. We've got what do we got in there? We've got the jacket. We've got Maxwell's book is in there. A lot of stuff to be had. Hard hats are coming. They're not here yet, but they're in production.
Yeah. What I'll say sincerely, okay,
wow,
we
lost half the we got lost half the show on my
read. Fun. What I will say sincerely is that thank you. Purchases have honestly been up, and a lot of people just buying the basic stuff like the regular Garden Report shirt, the phenomenal hats, shirts like that. A lot of those with these codes going around. Jimmy and Nick doing great work here.
Thank you.
Pumping out the merch. Wear that so you get to a game.
Stickers
wear it out.
are coming. Mugs are coming. We got a bunch of stuff coming.
But we do appreciate the love from you guys who are doing that. So again, thank you guys. We lost the kids. We're going to make this a boomer centric. We're making this a boomer centric show, and we're going to hear from Al Horford right now. Here it is, Al. I can only press it once, Jimmy.
Tonight was a special night, for our group because we had this chance to to close it out here at home. And for me, the biggest thing was just bringing energy to our group. I felt like we lacked it in the first quarter. And when I came back in the second, I felt like we needed to step it up. We were talking about it a lot in the huddle, but we weren't really getting it done. We have had a great opportunity here at home to handle this. And I knew it was going to take, a lot more than just playing a normal game.
We call that Big Al energy. That's what that is. Big Al energy. John,
let me ask you this question off of that post-game commentary from Al. We talked about it, and then we still didn't do it. Al does have the disappointed father sort of thing going on sometimes, which is kind of like, I don't know why it didn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, and he's presided over a few of these in his, couple of tenures with the team, and he's seen it, which is kind of like, I don't know why we didn't play hard tonight, and it's like we talked about playing hard and then we didn't play hard, and I still don't know why that didn't happen. Yeah. So the old man took it upon himself. The old man said, "Screw, I'm doing it."
You want something done right, you do it yourself, right?
That's he did it.
Yeah. Would say.
Good for Al.
Sometimes the kids got to see it done before they figure out how to do it. Even though you've shown them a million freaking times how to do it, sometimes they need you to show them one more time.
Yeah,
but have their hand held, Sherrod, right?
Yeah. So I'm not going to blame Pi. I'm not going to blame Pi after a win, but I will say, look, it's not everyone's like, you need Marcus to yell at people and you need Al to be. No, let me ask you this. What does Joe do? Like when you're there,
what do you do here?
And you see the team clearly doing what you don't want, which is, again, ball movement for 3 quarters was trash. It was bad. At what point do you stop it and then have them do the other thing? Like, I had somebody, a few people in my mentions talking about, like, why isn't, when you see Tatum doesn't have it going, or Brown, why doesn't Joe do something for him to get him going? How does Jaylen Brown have 7 freaking shots in this game? Like, at what point do you say, he ended up with more than that, but I think he had 7 at one. He finished with 9.
9, right.
9. At what point do you say, no, don't do that. Do the other thing. I don't know.
No, and
I sure as hell don't.
Yeah, and it can't just be the fact that Al had more looks to explain it, because that's still no excuse. And Jaylen was aggressive. I just think that it's kind of the disappointed dad thing that Al's feeling, that I don't understand why they don't do what damn well they're capable of doing all the time, and they just, for whatever reasons, don't. I don't get it. I'm never going to understand how that works.
They also didn't get to the line practically at all in that first half. They had 2 free throws in that first half, which was a lot different than previously. So it is interesting how it does switch game to game. And again, you don't want to show up and play the same exact way game to game, because both teams are making adjustments and you kind of go with that. But as far as energy goes, there should not be a situation still, like Al Horford saying, where the energy isn't where it should be. You know what I mean? You're at home. You're in a closeout game. You have every reason to show up and to play hard. And credit to Al for just being like, F it, I'll do it then. And going out there and just getting it done. Now we know what he's capable of, though. So he made a big mistake. The expectations are higher now, Josue, for Al, than maybe they were after
from the
game
Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, not quite. And guys, I got an update from the Bruins, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just think it's one of those situations where, like, his teammates wanted him
Brad
to
Marchand
bounce
is playing.
back as well.
Josue said it.
I think it's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, obviously they all wanted to do well, and especially when he's going off the way he was, I got the sense that everyone was like, if he's open, give it to him. And he was open. He was open a lot. I felt like the Cleveland Cavaliers just thought that it was going to slow down at some point, and all of a sudden he matches a career high 6 3-pointers. But yeah, he was doing a little bit of everything as well. So it was sort of like that example where it's like, man, we have to match that, and I feel like it happened eventually, but it took too long. Like, it was the fourth quarter, and it was like, okay, if you guys just play dialed in for about 6 minutes, it'll be enough. And that's exactly what happened. All of a sudden, it's a double-digit lead, and you're like, man, if you just did that all game long, you guys could have just been chilling in the fourth quarter, watching the end of the bench finish things up, you know? But, yeah. Marcus Morris balled out, though. I don't know. I like that. That was fun to watch.
Jimmy, I had this one up for a little bit.
I know. I thought it was interesting. $10. I thought, you know what?
That's why every show needs 2 producers. Yeah, totally.
No, I'll be honest.
You got 2 different ideas out there.
I was just cruising the comments. Marcus,
yeah, man, I'm happy
Morris
for
Senior.
Al.
Shout out to Marcus Morris Senior. Absolutely. Did
Yeah,
not know he had that
unreal.
in. Did not know he still had that in the bag.
He can't.
I was predicting over 20.
He can't move laterally
was-
anymore. He just basically just stood there and just shot it in people's eye all day.
Yeah,
All day. It was unreal.
But it worked perfectly for them, John, because when the ball was moving around, it just completely stopped when he got it and he would score. So, but yeah, I agree with you. It was one of those games where it's like I'm going all out right now.
Yeah, good. I mean, it was interesting.
Good for him. Good for him. Give him another year. Come on, bring him back, Cleveland. Let's go. I'm happy for Morris tonight.
Josue, who are you in on post game tonight? You got any nuggets for us?
Yeah, just Al Horford talking about the team showing a sign of maturity with closing out the game the way that they did. He spoke to us this morning during or after shoot around rather, and he talked about not worrying about what's been going on the last couple of games, going in there, defending at a high level. So I think he had his head on straight in the sense of like, we do not want to go back to Cleveland, and Al's been around long enough with plenty of playoff experience that to know that could really hurt you in the end, especially for a team like this fighting for a championship. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool when he said all that, and his relationship with Joe Mazzulla, saying Joe Mazzulla had talked about before Al hit the podium that he thanks Al for trusting him, as someone that's 2 years older than him, and from the very beginning took Joe Mazzulla very seriously as head coach when no one obviously anticipated him to take over the role the way he did. And it's been like that since day one, and Joe Mazzulla really appreciates that. And I got a chance to catch up with Tito, Al's dad. He told me, he said, Josue, Al texted me, he said, I'm going to finish him tonight. So I don't know. He didn't go out and say, man, I knew my son was going to do exactly that and ball out the way he did with his double-double. But he definitely thought it was going to be a special performance, and he was right.
Yeah,
he was right.
So Al got a lot of love tonight. We haven't given Tatum much. I have to say, without this being like an elite high-level scoring game for Tatum, again, obviously you're very, very close to the triple-double here. This was real in terms of his how he was moving the ball and the assists and making right reads. He made a lot of that stuff happen on his own. That wasn't just, I'm the guy who happens to have the ball and swing it to this guy who's more open for the three. He found people all over the court, getting into the paint and kicking it out, skip passes, reversal. He found guys all day long. This was one of his better quality passing games I can remember from him, and being able to initiate offense. So I thought this was a super high level game in that regard for Tatum. And obviously, he's got the four.
It was under control.
4 steals, but very under control. Yeah, very under control.
Yeah.
It's a good series.
Yeah, I mean, one turnover.
That's why I got worried when he was chasing Tony Brothers. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Sherrod. Don't ruin this night, Tatum. Don't ruin it.
We gave him some shit for that, but he had a really high level, efficient, as Sherrod said, in control game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that we just haven't seen Tatum do enough of in this series and in the playoffs, and that is significantly impact the game while staying under control. We see him put up. He had a game where I think 27, 6, and 5, and I think 1 or maybe no turnovers, but it wasn't a very good game. Because he didn't dominate, even though his stats might lead you to think otherwise. So this was a really good Tatum game, and certainly one you hope you can build off going into the next playoff series.
It's almost like the we always talked about the Tatum the Tatum not needing to be the just let me cook. Just give it to me and get out of the way, guy. Mm-hmm. And yes, there's still elements of slow down and walking it up in X, Y, and Z, which, you don't love. Sometimes the team is trying to run and Tatum's still kind of, let me get into my set, and it slows it down. I don't love that. But for the most part, what you want is him to not feel the need that he has to force everything and just give me the ball and then slow everything down, stop it. And this was one of those days he didn't do that at all. And like, it's kind of that, this is the well-rounded Tatum game where the stats are legit as opposed to like, okay, yeah, fine. Is he 10 rebounds, 5 assists already? Like, but this was real. Like he had really, really in control, of the game and of himself, and didn't really force anything. Really, like made terrific reads all night long. I thought he was great.
I think it was ended up being a really good series for him.
Defense, everything. Yep. Yeah.
Game one wasn't one of his best, but he's been able to have effects on these games in different ways. The last couple, it was points, leading the team and whatnot in the points categories. But tonight, like you guys talked about, just the all-around effect of facilitating when he needed to, not trying to force the ball, force shots up, 16 field goals, and this was like a Jaylen Brown efficiency type night that Jaylen Brown's had recently. So both those guys are really being, they're having some positive effects when they really pick and choose what they're not shot chucking. That's kind of the thing. I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, we get on these guys for not putting up 40 points, but if it's going to take 35 shots to do that, then and more often than not, you're not going to win that game. That's not what you want to see. There are players on the other side that have no choice but to put 30 shots up because they're the only guy that's tasked with the bulk of those points. You can look at when Donovan Mitchell's in the game. You can look at when Brunson's in the game, or whoever, Halliburton, whoever you want to talk about. Those guys have to do that. But credit to Tatum for understanding what the game calls for, and tonight was one of those examples. And yeah, one turnover tonight too on top of it all, which is always nice to see.
So yeah, it's the way he was reading the defense. I feel like, man, just getting everyone involved. I was loving the way towards the end, especially just those bunnies holiday. Like I feel like that was there for those guys countless time. They took advantage of it in that second half. But yeah, I mean, he was doing a little bit of everything, and then once you realize he's flirting with a triple-double, you're like, man, that happened in a hurry.
Yeah.
But I just feel like most of us looking at the score being like, why is Cleveland still in this, including the Celtics? The way they started that fourth quarter, I was a little worried, thinking is this going to go down to the wire? But then they just focused and dialed in for like 4 minutes there. Yeah.
Never felt like it. Never felt like it.
Not even those 4 minutes in the middle of the fourth?
Yeah. It didn't feel like it to me, honestly. After that 3-minute run where they got it up to 14-15, I thought that was it. They just needed one push. That's it. One thing we didn't talk about, I want to get to before we get there, is this notion that Porzingis, who we have no clue how close he is, he could be close, he could be not at all. It's the reporting on it is a little bit all over the place, but this notion that Celtics will be fine without Porzingis in the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't know that I believe that fully. I think that's a comfortable thing that people can say to sleep at night, and like, let's just worry about getting him in the finals and that's all that matters. I don't think that that's true. It doesn't mean they can't win, but I don't think it's like, I think saying don't need Porzingis to win the conference finals is a little too far to the other side of that. Can they win? Yes. Will they win? Probably. But I don't think it's a matter of like, yeah, they're fine. They just need him in the finals. This is a cake. I don't think the next series is a cakewalk without Porzingis. Not like.
I mean, yeah, I don't think so.
No, well, the biggest thing is the teams that they may potentially play going forward all play hard. They play hard all the time. And if there's one Achilles heel to this Celtics team is that sometimes they put it in cruise control when they should be trying to drive their way to the finish line. And so that's the concern, the biggest concern that you have against Indiana or New York if you play them.
Which one which one should the Celtics be more concerned about though? Pacers or Knicks?
I think the Knicks.
Knicks.
Yeah, same. Okay. All right. I figure we'll all be on the same page in that.
That last comment I put up is very fair. Is 20 minutes of Luke, 15, 20 minutes of Luke with the Knicks and the way that they rebound and the way that Luke aggressively does not rebound is terrifying. Luke will get played off the floor in like 2 minutes because he's not a good rebounder and he's going to get murdered. And the Knicks are tough and they're mentally tough and there's someone
and they're missing the two bigs, John. Like it's with no Randall, Mitchell. They're still tough,
Hartenstein is a monster, and yeah, you're without Mitchell Robinson. They're still a whatever. So this I think is not correct that they don't need. I just don't know what we're thinking. I mean, Josue, you've been going to shoot-arounds and practices and seeing him. I mean, eye test, he's not really ramped up much at all. He's just kind of walking around. He doesn't look like somebody who's going through workouts. And there could be stuff going on behind the scenes, but like, if we were to guess right now, I couldn't imagine seeing him in the early part of this series. I can't imagine that. Certainly if it starts on Sunday.
I don't think it would be wise, to be honest. Yeah, especially if it starts on Sunday. I just think when a player is far from 5-on-5, people got to kind of pump the brakes with their expectations. Did he look better in Cleveland in the post, working on his moves? That fadeaway, yeah, much better compared to the way he was moving at the Auerbach Center.
It's like watching Yi Jianliang play against the chair, and everyone's getting fired up about that, Sherrod. Do you remember that in the workout videos?
I thought there was a media basketball game joke in there somewhere, but okay.
Oh no, we're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk about Noah going in.
What was there, a meeting or something? You guys stopped talking about that. The way you started it sounded like you were like,
"Where's Bobby?"
I'm gonna let Bobby have that one.
If you had to guess, Bobby's stat
line 0, 0,
shooting
0.
percent, if you had to guess his stat line, what would it be?
From all the games combined?
Yeah.
You saw the infamous
don't do that to me, guys. That's not nice.
Like 4 for 32.
Yeah, 2 rebounds, no assists.
There's no way he shot better than 20%.
I don't know.
I wasn't there. Josue, you were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Was it like the pickup game? Was it shades of Thanasis Manning?
A little bit, but I mean, we got tired, man. It's like 4 games in a row. You know, that percentage dropped significantly those last couple of games. So that's tough. You got to pick one of those games to highlight. I can't. If you combine them all together, man, yeah, it's a low shooting percentage.
How's his form? Is he slow release?
Yeah. All right, I'll put it this way. This is the same thing I told Bobby too, man. One dribble can make a big difference when you're in the post. All right, I'm like, man, just like those people who just get the ball and they turn and they make a move. I'm like, Bobby, just put it on the floor, go back up. It's a layup every time or almost every time. Yeah. You'd be surprised. Enough fake, something like that.
But he's there.
He's there.
Bobby's build
footwork's not bad.
Needs Chris Dudley in terms of shooting form.
It's like, just put the ball on the floor, an up fake, and you will clear. Everyone will just clear, and it'll be an open lit. You know what I mean? So he's getting there though. This summer we're gonna pick it back up. It's gonna be fun.
All right, we'll get there. Lastly, we'll do a quick whip here. Which team do you want to face?
Pacers. Nick. I don't trust them at the end of the games. Meaning that'll be an easier matchup.
You want to face the Knicks because it's fun, but the harder matchup is the Knicks. Everyone agrees?
Exactly.
Yeah,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah.
I like fun.
Especially, yeah, I'm with you, John. A series, New York and Boston, I've never seen in the playoffs. Well, I guess 2013 it happened, but that doesn't really count. But yeah,
I like fun.
Pacers have given the Celtics trouble too, though.
Yeah,
that's true.
Real quick,
I mean, they're still a scoring machine, but they just get weird at the end of games. But
we're gonna hear from JT before we go. Here's Tatum after the game.
This is 7 out of 8 games now where you've had 10 or more rebounds. How has that affected your game? And what does that say about your ability to use that to get yourself going?
I mean, I would like to think I'm a great rebounder. Besides all the 7-foot guys in the league that are centers. I feel like I'm one of the best rebounders that's not a 5-man. And I've averaged 10-plus rebounds a couple of times in the playoffs. So that's something that I really kind of hang my hat on, especially playoff time, is, rebounding the basketball.
All right.
Okay.
Hope he said more than that. Is that the... All right.
I can't argue with that. I mean...
I wonder what the question was. I don't know, but all right.
We heard it. The question was basically talk about your 10 rebounds.
Yeah.
And he did.
Jason,
he had to then.
Great rebounder. Yeah. Talk about that.
At that point, he had no choice.
No, he's good. He's good, and he's consistent, and that's the thing about it. Yeah, he's a consistently elite rebounder, especially in the playoffs. So yeah, nothing out of the ordinary for that. That's where he's at now. He's at a point where a double scoring and rebounding in the playoffs is no big deal because he's done it so many times. But it's just like been there, done that. Nothing to see here type of action.
Yeah. Last thing I'm going to play. This is for the fans. This is Al giving you some love.
Oh, this is
part of the Celtics organization for 6 seasons now. You had that special moment where, the play had stopped and you walked out the middle of the court, really embraced the cheers of the fans. Can you talk about what that moment was like and what your relationship with the Celtics fans kind of feels like at this stage in your career?
It's special. It's special when you're here at the Garden. This is something I just don't take for granted. The energy of the fans. Our fans, they love the Celtics. They want us to play hard. They want us to play the right way. And I just felt very connected with them tonight, with the way that we were playing, that we got it going. I felt like there was that connection there, and there was just a few times that I wanted, to be embraced by them in those moments, and that fuels me, that fuels our team. It was pretty special here.
We love you, Al.
Wow,
it's a sunshine day, everybody.
Come on, guys. When Al's going off like that, you can put a smile on your face.
Everybody's laughing.
Connected.
Come on.
Little connection.
When Al's rah-rah like that, you'll put the smile on your face. It's great.
You did get the fans. You got the fans on their feet. Josue, was the Garden rocking tonight?
Right here.
Oh, man. Place went nuts. Especially when he checked out for good. Standing ovation, man. Happy for Al.
People love it. He loves you.
Because
we need Knicks, Celtics, Knicks.
Because of him, this team isn't going back to Cleveland. So good for Al.
That's right.
Well done.
That is good. Anyway, that's it. That's it. Celtics face the Knicks or the Pacers Eastern Conference Finals. I believe it's 6 out of 8 conference finals since Jaylen Brown entered the league. 5 out of 7 since Tatum.
That's right.
Again, Jimmy has something to say.
But as Draymond Green said after the game,
it
doesn't matter. Nobody cares. He said it doesn't matter. Nobody cares if Celtics are going back to the Eastern Conference Finals. They need to seal the deal. That's what Draymond Green said. So.
That brings me back to my opening rant, which got everybody a little salty and lathered up, and maybe that was the point. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They were supposed to get here. It's really cool. You know why? Because we all get to do this and watch more basketball that matters, and it's great. You want to keep these seasons going as long as possible. As far as it doesn't matter unless you win the championship, and again, that's kind of what this team was built to do, and that's what they're supposed to do. And I don't like the recent rhetoric from even Celtics fans who all year have been saying championship or bust, who all of a sudden have said, "Well, they'll never beat Denver." Hey,
you just said it. Shut
up. I said, get with it, people. You either believe it or you don't at this point.
You said, it won't be a failure if they lose. It'll be okay.
Shut up, Jimmy.
Rewind the tape.
Okay.
No. People, especially Celtics fans, they got excited about the Timberwolves. Like, oh, great, it's the Timberwolves. Like, oh, they can beat them. And then now Denver's all of a sudden a shocker, right?
Oh,
back in the mix.
Never.
Yeah.
Come on, you cowards. Pull it together. Okay?
Seriously.
Pull it
championship
together.
or bust. It always has been.
It is.
Oh, of course. Especially around these parts.
Let's get it going. Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out. We appreciate it. We would like to. Thank you, George. He's not scared. I ain't scared of no Nuggets.
Yeah.
That's cool. Bring it.
Get there.
George. See what happens. Let's make it happen. Again, we don't know. Could be Sunday. If that's the case, we will
I don't
be back
know,
on
man.
Sunday.
I think this thing goes 7. I think it goes 7. We'll see.
Well, I'm not on Sunday. I'm not doing Sunday. I've called the league. I've told them I'm out.
They're going to force Game 7 then. If you call it, yeah, they'll force it. That's a big game right there. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Right. So we won't see us. I won't see us Sunday. But thank you guys for hanging out. We do appreciate it as always. Celtics going to the conference finals. Taking on either the Knicks or the Pacers, Sherrod Blakely, Josue Pavon, Jimmy Toscano, and Bobby Manning down at the Garden. Thank you guys again. We'll see you for game 1.
Next time.
Take care.
Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Horford's out. I think it's an option.
That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.